The forgotten premise of equality, recovering the inherent value of human life in a postmodern world. In today's public discourse, equality is frequently affirmed as a moral ideal, yet how that ideal is applied can vary widely, from questions surrounding life's beginning and end to debates about identity and medicine. Deep tensions have emerged in our cultural understanding of what it means to be human. This essay offers a gentle but clear reflection. Can we still affirm equal dignity for all persons, consistently, coherently, and compassionately? Drawing from science, reason, and widely shared ethical principles, this is not an argument of ideology, but of conscience. Modern societies often expect public moral debates to proceed without reference to religious belief. This approach, commonly described as pluralistic or secular, is intended to create fairness in diverse cultures. Yet even on this shared ground, we face unavoidable questions. Why should any human life be protected? What does it mean to be a person? What makes some actions right and others harmful? Beginning from reason and shared civic assumptions, one finds that the case for the inherent value of every human life is not only defensible, it is profoundly humane. This essay traces that case from life's earliest beginnings through questions of dignity, autonomy, and identity. Human life begins at conception. Biological science consistently teaches that human life begins at conception. At the moment of fertilization, a distinct organism comes into being with its own genetic identity, oriented toward development as a human being. A 2018 study surveying over 5,000 biologists, representing a range of worldviews, found overwhelming agreement with this conclusion. Even prominent atheist thinker Richard Dawkins has acknowledged this biological fact. The moral debate, then, is not over when life begins, but when it should be protected. Some argue that viability, consciousness, or independence should determine moral status. Yet these criteria are variable and fragile. They might exclude newborns, those with dementia, or the comatose. A consistent and inclusive ethic begins by recognizing that if someone is human, their life merits protection, not because of what they can do, but because of who they are. Dignity is not earned, it is inherent. The cornerstone of modern human rights is the affirmation that every person possesses inherent dignity. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights begins with this premise, quote, "All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights," close quote. International covenants uphold rights as flowing from this dignity, not granted by governments or earned by abilities. This vision implies that human worth is not contingent on usefulness, awareness, or status. As ethicist John Taziulas explains, dignity is not a reward for virtue or competence, but a condition of simply being human. This matters greatly. When we begin to ration dignity based on characteristics or capacities, we create hierarchies of humanity. History shows where that path leads. To protect the vulnerable, society must begin with the presumption that every human life, regardless of condition or circumstance, has equal moral worth. Abortion is not healthcare, nor is it a reproductive right. Public discussions often frame abortion as healthcare or a reproductive right. These labels, however, obscure more than they clarify. Healthcare exists to heal disease and preserve life. But pregnancy is not a disease, and a fetus is not a tumour. Abortion ends a biologically healthy process and terminates a distinct human life. It is not morally or medically neutral. For many women, abortion is followed by grief, regret, or emotional trauma. Research shows increased risks of depression, anxiety, and even suicidality following abortion. The term reproductive right also misleads. Reproduction has already occurred by the time a woman is pregnant. What's at issue is not fertility control, but ending an already conceived life. This distinction is crucial for ethical clarity. A more compassionate framework would provide women with real alternatives, financial support, emotional care, and community resources, so that no woman feels she must choose between her child and her future. The body and the question of identity. Another cultural trend is the detachment of personal identity from the body. In abortion, the fetus's body is treated as irrelevant. In gender ideology, one's own body may be seen as an obstacle to identity. In both cases, biology is made secondary to a subjective feeling. This produces contradictions. A fetus may be regarded as a baby if wanted, or as medical waste if not. A minor too young to consent to a tattoo may be permitted to undergo irreversible procedures to alter sex characteristics. These are not edge cases. They are increasingly embedded in policy and practice. A more coherent anthropology sees the human person as a unity of body and soul, or body and mind. Our bodies are not accidents to be overcome. They are part of who we are. Respecting the person means respecting the whole person, body included. The tyranny of choice. Modern moral discourse often treats autonomy as the supreme good. But freedom requires more than choice. It requires truth. A good choice presupposes some objective difference between good and evil, helpful and harmful. Margaret Sanger, founder of Planned Parenthood, once said, quote, "No woman can call herself free until she can choose consciously whether she will or will not be a mother." Close quote. But this formulation elevates choice above the thing chosen. It risks overlooking the rights of those who cannot choose, the unborn, the elderly, the dependent. This also applies to assisted suicide. Proponents argue that ending one's life is a matter of personal autonomy. But research from jurisdictions where assisted dying is legal shows many people are motivated not by physical pain, but by fear of being a burden or by loneliness. Lord Sumption, speaking from the UK Supreme Court, warned that legalising assisted suicide may impose social pressure on the vulnerable to do the decent thing and opt for death. True autonomy includes the freedom to live without coercion, whether economic, social or medical. Compassion means accompanying those who suffer, not eliminating them. A question of coherence. What binds all these trends together is a growing incoherence in how society defines and defends human life. A fetus lacks rights because it cannot speak for itself. An elderly person seeks assisted death for the same reason. A child is deemed too young to drink, vote or marry, yet considered old enough to redefine their biological sex. Such contradictions suggest that our ethical frameworks are being shaped more by ideology than by principle. If rights are grounded in feelings, utility, or social acceptance, then they can be withdrawn just as easily. Human dignity becomes conditional, not universal. To remain just and humane, society must rediscover a consistent principle of equal worth, one that applies regardless of age, ability, desire, or circumstance. Conclusion. A shared foundation for human worth. This essay has appealed not to religious doctrine, but to reason, science, and conscience. It has sought to show that the inherent value of every human life is not a sectarian belief, but a foundation of civil society. We may differ on many matters, but we can agree on this: every human being matters. Equality means more than fairness. It means recognizing the profound worth of every person, especially those with the least power or visibility. To recover that truth is not to impose faith, but to restore humanity. And in doing so, we reclaim the forgotten premise of equality, the only one on which a just and compassionate future can be built.